In 1839, in the sweltering heart of Louisiana, the Rutherford Plantation stood like a cathedral of decay. Beneath its wooden floors, something moved. Locals said it was rats. The slaves whispered it was a child. But on humid nights, when the cicadas went silent, even the wind seemed to pause, listening to the scratching beneath the master's study. They said it began after the auction, when Silas Rutherford bought an albino girl no one else dared touch. He called her Eden, and when she screamed that night, the whole field went cold. The auctioneer's voice trembled when her turn came. A pale child, eyes red as iron, skin like milk. She didn't speak. She just watched the crowd, unblinking, unbreathing. They said she brought bad harvests wherever she was sent. Every owner before had died strangely. Animals bled dry, walls blackened overnight. Silas Rutherford, proud and cruel, saw only cheap property. He lifted his hand, placed his bid, and sealed the fate of everyone under his roof. Within a week, servants whispered about screams from the attic. Silas ordered the girl locked in the cellar, a windowless chamber of brick and mold where even sound seemed afraid to go. He claimed she was possessed. Chains were fixed to the walls. He forbade anyone from bringing her food after dark. But every morning the plates came back empty, licked clean, though the locks were never broken. Months turned to years. Silas grew older, sicker. The plantation's crops failed. Cows miscarried. Birds refused to land. Yet from the cellar came strange lullabies. A child's humming, echoing through the vents. One by one, the servants ran away. Those who stayed reported seeing her reflection in mirrors that faced the cellar door. She was still a child, they said, but her eyes had grown black. In 1846, Reverend Tull arrived, carrying a Bible and a revolver. He demanded the cellar be opened. Silas refused. "What's in there?" the Reverend said. "Ain't of this world." He sprinkled holy water on the cellar door. It hissed like acid. The smell of sulfur filled the air. Silas shot him before sunrise. The Reverend's body was buried under the pecan tree, but his blood stained the steps leading down to her prison, and never dried. It was the 12th year when it happened. A thunderstorm rolled across the bayou, and lightning struck the plantation roof. Silas, now half mad, ran barefoot into the cellar. The servants heard his voice, pleading, then screaming. The locks broke. The door opened, and what came out did not walk like a human being. Witnesses described her as taller now, limbs elongated, skin the color of candle wax. Her mouth too wide, eyes blind white. But she spoke in Silas's own voice. The next morning, only his wedding ring was found, embedded in the stone floor. The girl was gone. The cellar smelled of iron and roses. By dawn, the plantation was deserted. Fields rotted overnight. Travelers found the mansion doors open, but no one inside. Every portrait had been slashed except one, the child's. Her face had been painted over in black. The land was sold 3 times but never lived upon again. Locals began calling it Rutherford's Hollow. Decades later, in 1882, railroad men unearthed the ruins. Beneath the collapsed foundation, they found a tunnel, brick-lined, spiraling down. At the bottom, iron chains fused to bone. But the bones weren't human. The skull had double jaws. The doctor who examined it quit his practice the next day and burned his notes. A tattered book was found among the debris. In it, Silas wrote of visions. White figures walking through his fields, whispering in Latin. He wrote that the girl was not a slave, but an offering, purchased by secret instruction from a man in New Orleans who claimed to be a priest of the Order of the White Sun. The journal ends abruptly. She has begun to pray backwards. Newspaper archives in 1901 revealed fragments of a hidden cult. Plantation owners who believed purity could be bred through isolation and pain. They experimented on children with albinism, convinced their souls could see between the worlds. Most records were destroyed after Reconstruction. But one emblem survived, the same burned into the Rutherford cellar door, a circle split by a single downward ray. In 1910, the county census listed the Rutherford estate as uninhabited. Yet 2 inspectors recorded hearing a music box playing from underground. Their notes end with a single sentence. She asked us if the sun still rises red. Both men were found drowned in the nearby creek the next week, their eyes bleached white. In 1924, a traveling preacher found a young albino woman wandering the woods near the ruins. She couldn't remember her name, but she spoke in perfect French, though no school in the region taught it. When asked her age, she replied, 12. Her teeth were filed to points. A journalist from New Orleans took her picture for a story titled The Ghost of Rutherford Hollow. But when the plates developed, her figure appeared twice. Once standing, once kneeling behind herself, hands clasped in prayer. The journalist went blind 3 days later. His last words, "She had no shadow." In 1931, church records show a woman matching her description was admitted to St. Augustine's Seminary as a charity case. After 6 months, the dormitory burned down. No bodies were found, only melted metal and the same sigil, the split sun, scorched into the altar stone. Dr. Lowell, the seminary physician, survived long enough to dictate a single page. The girl does not age. She bleeds only when prayed over. Her reflection lags behind her movements by several seconds. I no longer believe she was born. His remains were found in his study, his eyes packed with salt. By 1945, Rutherford Hollow was swallowed by the bayou. Yet soldiers returning from war reported seeing a pale figure walking across the flooded grounds at night, humming to herself, the same lullaby once heard through the vents. Her footsteps left no ripples. In 1952, an archivist cataloging old plantation phonographs found a warped cylinder marked E. When played, it produced a voice, female, soft, and echoing. Translated from reversed Latin, it said, "I am still here, beneath your houses, where you buried me in light." The recording was sealed by the Smithsonian, labeled Private Folklore Material. In 1997, a team of historians reopened the site. Their equipment picked up an unexplained low-frequency hum, matching heartbeat rhythm. Footage shows one of them whispering, "It's calling." The camera feed ends mid-breath. Authorities claimed floodwaters destroyed the tapes. Locals still see lights flicker through the trees every storm season. Today, the land remains untouched. No birds sing there. The air feels charged, like before lightning. But if you place your ear to the earth, you can still hear her, the child, the prisoner, the offering. She whispers not for freedom, but for remembrance. And those who listen too long begin to dream of white fields, black suns, and a voice beneath their floorboards, softly asking, "Have you fed me today?"